watching the IUP TV News Bulletin, bringing you stories relevant to IUP and the Indiana community on Channels 6 and 20.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this Thursday, December 8th. I'm James Geddes.
And I'm Frey Heidi, coming to you this evening in association with WIUP News. Indiana's Historical and Genealogical Society is holding a Christmas open house on Friday. The holiday celebration kicks off with a performance of A Dash of Dickens, a Western Pennsylvania Christmas carol, by the Indiana Players. After, a night of carols and seasonal refreshments. The open house is free and open to the public and will be located at the Armory at 621 Wayne Ave.
The Borough of Indiana is set to vote on the 2023 budget. Right now, the recommendation for the budget is seeing a rise in taxes for households in the area. The increase looks to be about $77 per household, and this is due to rising costs that the borough is facing. The council is also set to approve the schedule for the 2023 calendar year, as well as voting on some water and sewage measures around the area.
Governor Wolf has taken a step forward in protecting LGBTQ people from discrimination. The guidance, which was first released in 2018, states that queer folks can file complaints against schools, landlords, and bosses to Pennsylvania's Human Relations Commission if they've been suspected of being discriminated on the basis of their sexual orientation or gender identity. This proposal goes to a state regulatory board Thursday, which would officially adopt the proposal. This comes after repeated efforts to urge the state legislature to pass a bill with similar protections, but receiving no movement from Republican leaders.
If you have purchased frozen raspberries recently, you might want to take a second look at them before eating. More than 1,000 cases of frozen raspberries are being recalled due to potentially being contaminated with hepatitis A. The recall was initiated after a test by the FDA. The product included in the recall is 1,260 cases of James Farm raspberries. They have the expiration date of June 14, 2024, the product of Chili branding, as well as the UPC of 760-695-01010, the lot code of CO22-165. Anyone with the recalled product should throw it away or return it for a full refund. People usually get sick from hepatitis A within 15 to 30 days of exposure and can range from mild illness to serious illness lasting a few weeks or several months. If you have any symptoms of fatigue, abdominal pain, jaundice, dark urine, and pale stool, you are urged to reach out to a medical professional immediately.
Power is restored for some residents in North Carolina after a targeted attack on 2 substations left thousands without power in below freezing temperatures. The motive is still unclear, but many speculate it is due to extremists seeking to shut down a local drag show. Moore County Sheriff Ronnie Fields says that nothing is off the table and all leads are being investigated at this time. This comes after rising attacks against LGBTQ folks across the nation, including a deadly shooting at Club Q in Colorado Springs in November.
And the suspect accused of killing 5 people inside of an LGBT nightclub in Colorado has been charged with 305 criminal counts, including murder, hate crimes, and assault. Earlier today, the 22-year-old suspect appeared in a Colorado court where all the charges were read to them. This isn't the suspect's first run-in with the law, as they were previously arrested in 2021 for threatening to detonate a bomb and harm their mother.
It's official. Senator Raphael Warnock has defeated his challenger, Herschel Walker, in the Georgia runoff. This expands the Democrats' power in the Senate and could accelerate Biden's agenda. However, the Republicans still control the House, and cooperation between the two parties is not off the table. Analysts believe that this might be a sign that Trump is not as popular with Republicans, as Walker could not secure crucial votes, even with an endorsement from the former president.
Police in Europe have taken down a super cartel which supplied about a third of the cocaine industry in the continent. The operation by police was called Desert Light, and they were able to arrest 49 people across 6 different countries. Over 30,000 kilograms of drugs were seized in a 2-year investigation. They were able to arrest 6 high-level targets, which were people most wanted by international police. With cocaine use rapidly rising in Europe, the takedown of such a superpower couldn't have happened at a better time.
Protesters in Iran are looking to organize nationwide strikes to keep pressure on the government. This is an escalation from protests that began in September over the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini, who was arrested by morality police for not abiding by strict dress code laws. She died while in custody of the police and sparked nationwide protests against the government's numerous human rights abuses, with some protesters calling for a revolution. Senior officials in Iran's government have suggested abolishing the morality police and reviewing the mandatory hijab laws, but skepticism still remains.
There is currently an outrage in Greece as a 16-year-old boy is fighting for his life after being shot in the head by police after fleeing a petrol station. Protesters have been taking the streets throwing patrol bombs at police in the area. Police violence in Greek cities has been a recurring issue, and this recent shooting is re-highlighting the problem. The boy was reportedly hunted down by police for not paying for gas at a gas station. The boy was of Roma descent, which is the biggest and poorest minority in Greece.
Coming up, the stories behind IUP's Super Seniors.
Also, a therapeutic way to handle finals with canines after this.
Let's talk about mental health. Not many people realize that your mental health is just as important as your physical. As college students, many different factors can contribute to poor mental health, such as the pressure to succeed, financial instability, social media, and poor health habits. So how do you maintain good mental health? Exercising multiple times a week, eating better on a daily basis, drinking less, and setting achievable goals for yourself are great ways to stay on top.
It's no surprise that college students may need an extra year or two for a degree. After all, a plurality of people at IUP enroll undecided.
This story by our Joseph Blas shows other reasons why someone may end up with the title of Super Senior.
College is an experience that roughly takes about 4 years depending on what degree you're working towards. But what if you were to extend that time and become a super senior? Today is not that uncommon for students to take 5 years to get their degree. Research shows that 63.8% of college students enroll in bachelor's programs are likely to graduate within 5 years. The most common reasons for an extra year are caused by transferring, taking a gap year, and/or problems in or around the classroom. Not to mention, COVID-19 played a key role in many students deciding to take a gap year during the early 2020s. With that, I decided to ask some super seniors what their stories look like for more insight.
So right about whenever COVID-19 hit, I was struggling a bit in my classes. So pairing that with a pandemic that meant all classes were online, I finished my online courses and then stopped taking IUP courses for a bit. I was working a part-time job at Sheets in Carrolltown while taking classes at a community college called Penn Highlands. Just kind of buffed my grades, saved money, and then when the pandemic was over and I had boosted my grades a bit, I started taking classes here again. This is my second semester back since taking a break.
Everyone goes at their own pace and has their own learning style, which is why sometimes it takes a little longer to reach that goal of getting a degree. So don't get discouraged if you can't finish in 4 years. Take your time. This has been Joseph Blas, IUP News.
Are you stressed with finals yet? Our Chloe Buzzard says that therapy dogs and Just Pause would be more than happy to take it away.
No matter who you are, everybody loves dogs. Known as man's best friend, these furry creatures can do just about anything to make us smile, even when we're feeling down. From fish to cats to even cows, it's no wonder why they're so loved. No matter what, our pets will always be there for us, which is why they can play such an important role in taking care of mental health. Whether it be from outside factors such as changes to our community, to inside factors such as struggling with relationships and health. IUP's student body has been undergoing massive changes in structure lately, and with that can come scary mental health consequences. But thankfully for lots of students at IUP, there's hope out there. This semester, IUP has welcomed some very special guests to aid in the fight against mental illness. Welcome the friendly dogs from Just Pause.
The dogs help them by comforting them and providing a stress relief. There's proven facts about how the dogs absorb your stress. So not only are they absorbing their stress, but if a lot of students have pets at home and everything, so allowing them to come here and cuddle with the pets and pet the dogs and everything else, just interact with them, really helps them along those lines. And it reminds them of their pets back home. They get to socialize with the handler, so everything goes really well.
From humble high school beginnings to IUP's very own library right here, Just Pause has been coming to IUP for many years. What started out as a stress reliever for lots of the students taking exams turned into a huge hit. Even through COVID, the dogs have been visiting, though the owners take many precautions to wear masks and social distance. Even now, a year later, the owners will still wear masks and social distance in order to keep the dogs and both the students safe. No matter what, students are eager to visit the pets while they're here. The question is, do they really work?
Just having like all this schoolwork piled on top of me with finals weeks coming and everything, getting to pet a dog and, just any dog or really any animal, but specifically the therapy dogs, obviously. I don't know, they just relieve stress for me, and seeing the dog kind of reminds me of seeing my pet at home, so.
Luckily for those of us at IUP, the therapy dogs from Just Paws are visiting every Monday at Folger Student Center starting at 6 to 7:30 p.m. No RSVP is needed and all are welcome. I'm Chloe Bizard, reporting for IUP TV.
Still ahead on IUP News, how the Student Government Association is taking on today's issues.
That along with the decisions people are making about their winter break.
Let me tell you something. Whatever it took you to get here will take you anywhere you want to go. You may not have it figured out right now, and that's okay. There are people here who do, and they believe in you. But you gotta put in the work. And if you go all in, if you commit to something bigger, IUP will take you further than you ever imagined. Because it's not about who you are when you arrive, it's about who you become. IUP, grow here.
For the past semester, the student government has taken on the big issues, the ones that people may decide not to talk about because of their importance. I had the opportunity to see what they're focusing on next.
Every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. in Elkin Hall's Great Room, students gather to discuss student concerns and university policy. IUP Student Government Association is the official representative body of IUP students and works to promote and enrich the welfare of all IUP students. The organization took a hit in membership during the pandemic, but this semester saw a renewed interest with 21 active senators this semester.
We started this year with great excitement and energy surrounding this group because I think that we're really in a unique time period in that we're recovering from COVID-19 and people are really looking to make up for lost time. In every walk of life, especially here in the university. So we came in at a wonderful time and we came in with great energy. The one thing that I am most proud of is the increased representation that has been brought to SGA. Because I think it's really important that, the more students we have here, the more voices, more perspectives that we get to hear. And ultimately that's what our job is.
The organization is led by 6 students known as the Executive Board. This includes the President, Vice President, Chief Justice, Treasurer, Secretary, and Director of Public Relations. Much has already been accomplished by these representatives, including the revival of the Student Organizational Assembly, whose Senate seat has been vacant for almost 5 years.
We set out this year with a goal of trying to find a way to connect other student organizations better. And so what we reinvigorated was something called the Student Organization Assembly, where every student organization on campus is invited to send one representative to a monthly meeting. And we now have a senator for that position as well. And we've had 2 meetings so far, incredibly successful. 9 to 10 clubs attend each one.
SGA generally hears from administration officials during their weekly meetings and discusses the information brought to the assembly. This direct line to the university administration gives SGA power to make real change, says Thomas Oroskovich, SGA secretary.
We advocated for the fall pause. We have power, and we want to help all students across campus. So if a student has a complaint, come to us and we will do our best to address it in the most effective way possible.
On slow days, the General Assembly may just hear from students looking to have their organization officially recognized by SGA, a job that Daniel Kukula, the Chief Justice, oversees.
My favorite part about Chief Justice is that board of recognition aspect. And I really love it because I get to work with so many people in so many different fields. So I know this year we've hoped to start up the IUP Book Club, the IUP Holistic Health Club. We've got 2 of them coming today that haven't been recognized yet, but that's PsyD Students of Color and a organization for students in medical imaging technology, and then I've got even more that I'm still meeting with or have already met with. I think it's really, really interesting to get that chance to help people develop things they're passionate about and create those organizations that can continue working around campus. And so that's probably my favorite part. I really like it.
It can be a lot being the voice of the student body, but there's plenty people working to amplify the power students have over their education.
Like Kevin Foster, for example, or even Casey now, you always know there's people to watch your back, and they're going to tell you what to do if you don't find a way. But they're also very welcome to your ideas. So I think that's the part that actually made me want to stay in SGA too, because it's like, I have my voice, I have other people's voice. Combined, it's a better voice together.
Looking to the future, Hancock's is looking to improve student wellness and mental health, as well as create a better sense of belonging for students.
One of the things that we plan to take a deeper look at is mental health and well-being and general health of the student body. What can we do to promote the great mental health services that are offered here on campus? Also, one big thing that we'd like to take a bigger look at is student belonging. We hear over and over again how belonging on campus is something that students struggle with. So can we as SGA have a part in programming, activities, and making students feel like they belong here at IUP? So we are really excited to keep the momentum that we started this semester and bring that into the spring semester.
SGA has just one message for IUP students.
Make your voice heard.
Make your voice heard.
Make your voice heard.
Make your voice heard.
In Elkin Hall, Frey Heidi, IUP TV News.
There are many things that people decide to do as the year comes to a close. It could be traveling, making food, meeting family, or celebrating the holidays. Eric Beswick is here to show us what's in people's minds for this winter break.
Winter has quickly started to take over Indiana. The weather is getting colder and the days have gotten shorter. All of this started to get me thinking about something. What do students have planned for the upcoming winter break?
I plan to take it easy. I'm going to be picking up a few extra hours at my job so that I can start affording different gifts for family members for Christmas, as well as just saving up some extra money for myself. Other than that, I'm going to be taking it easy and just hanging out with my family.
Of course, relaxation is what a lot of us are looking forward to after a long and difficult spring semester, but some students may be looking to continue their schoolwork over winter break.
Yes, I'm taking a couple winter classes so that I can get some extra credit for graduation on time. I just need a couple, and there are a few easy classes.
Our studies are always important, so it's not a bad idea to stay sharp and get ahead over the break. Though most people's favorite part of winter break are the holidays and all the festivities that come with them.
My favorite part of the holidays is probably the weather. I love cold and snowy season. Sitting inside my house, bundled up and staying warm while it snows outside is one of my favorite parts of the year, as well as Christmas time.
The holidays are a wonderful chance to relax and spend some time with friends and family. All we can hope for, though, is that by the end of the winter break, we've recouped enough to start the next semester strong. This has been Eric Beswick for IUP TV News.
After the break, looking back at the dynamics of producing the IUP News Bulletin this semester.
And what people like our Stoker Wyzorek have learned from reporting on stories.
We all have a story. It's telling those stories that matter. That's why IUP's communications program airs its own news bulletin on IUP TV and 90.1 WIUP FM, with the people you know telling the stories. Here, there are new aspiring journalists ready to start their career strong. Even if news isn't your goal, there is a place here for everyone. This is IUP News, with stories relevant to IUP and the Indiana community.
So James, tell me a little bit about your experience doing the news.
Yeah, so I've been doing the news now for about a year here at IUP. This is actually my last semester doing the news, as I will be graduating. But over my time here on IUP News, there's been a lot of work put in behind the scenes, from researching, conducting interviews, writing scripts, post-production. It's been, a lot of work. But at the end of the day, the experience has been very rewarding, and I have a lot of knowledge going into the workforce moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, my experience usually has just been writing with the pen, but doing this semester has been so cool.
Yeah, and all of us face challenges reporting these stories. Matt Palumbo is no exception. His story here should help elaborate further.
At IUP, Each student has their own way of preparing for exams, quizzes, and assignments, but for students in Column 51 multimedia news production, preparation can look a lot different than that of the average student. Ryan Carter, for example, spends several hours each week researching appropriate and relevant news stories for his live radio news broadcast. I interviewed Ryan to ask him what he thought the most challenging part of being a part of the IUP news team is.
Definitely the most challenging part is probably being part of a team. Probably being part of the news team is definitely challenging in its own regard, just because while everyone does their own individual work, you still have to rely on your team members, you have to rely on everyone else in the class.
As Ryan stated, being a part of the IUP news team is challenging in its own right. Everyone must work together in order to meet the strict deadlines that a news production requires. I was also able to ask Ryan what he thought made this class more difficult and more interesting than others he's taken in the past.
I think this class is way more interesting. I mean, at least for me, it's way more into my specific interests and my career goals, at least. And it's a lot more like independent work, and it's a lot more fast-paced than any of my other production classes I've taken.
News team member Eric Beswick also puts in a lot of work to make sure the show runs smoothly each week. Eric, alongside his other work, prepares a sports script to deliver live on air during a radio news broadcast on Tuesday afternoons at 4 p.m.
It's just trying to find time to do the packages that are required for us. It's not necessarily the most difficult thing in the world, but it's hard to find time for, especially when you have to get interviews and you have to get B-roll at specific places. Really interesting is it's hands-on. That's something that I really appreciate in a college course, because anybody can, teach and listen and take notes, but for me that doesn't really work. Being able to do it and feel it in my hands what I'm doing and what I need to do will always make a class better for me.
In news production class, everything is complicated. Students oftentimes have to take equipment out to different locations to capture B-rolls and interview shots. For me personally, one of the hardest parts of the class is finding appropriate B-rolls for each story.
Well, B-rolls are important. It's almost subconscious, but whenever you see a news story, it's like the human eye the human brain gets bored whenever they see the same shot over and over again, or the same interview shot over and over again. So it's necessary to have B-rolls in order to keep people interested and keep them excited about the story, and also shout out to some cool footage.
As I mentioned in the previous clip, B-rolls are one of the most important parts of the 5 packages each news member is expected to produce each semester. Each student must also conduct interviews and voiceovers as well for each package. Packages mostly cover events happening on or around the IUP campus, but sometimes students are asked to cover worldwide topics. Overall, being a part of the IUP news team has its challenges. Students are forced to think outside of the box and be creative, all while sticking to strict guidelines and deadlines. However, after all the hard work is done, the IUP news team can take immense pride knowing that they provide a great service for the IUP and the Indiana community. This has been Matt Palumbo with IUP News.
Here's a story made by IUP Stoker by Zork. It addresses what he's learned in the world of news reporting.
Being a reporter opens many opportunities and possibilities to learn. I say this because that's what I do for a living. The first time being a reporter came to my mind was in my junior year of college. I took a class focused around making TV packages. This seen by me as an opportunity to be creative. So I was, and it helped the story's quality. I treated stories in class as if they were being viewed by millions. Also, watching how other people did them and making necessary adjustments. That's not to say that mistakes weren't made. An example would be my first political package. It listed the facts, but also encouraged the audience towards one party. I made sure to not do that again. This taught me the lesson of a reporter's responsibility. Talking to the camera for stand-up was in need of some improvement as well. But using my strengths to my advantage was crucial. Those being narrating, empathy, shooting, and editing video. In the following semesters, my inspiration grew more from the stories I came across. That along with the perks of being a reporter. These include meeting new people, traveling, working with a team, using equipment like my drone, and learning about our world. Everyone I met had a story to tell, and it was my duty to look beyond the surface. Leaving college, I have already produced over 40 stories. Doing this much didn't come easy. That on top of being promoted to an executive producer of IUP News. Some nights I would be perfecting packages until 4 in the morning. but that's just how bad I wanted to succeed. It's relieving to know that my career starts here. Even though things may be hard at first, being a multimedia journalist is something that has grown on me to enjoy. In Indiana, Pennsylvania, Stoker Wyzorek, IUP News.
Hello everyone, I'm Stoker Wyzorek with this week's IUP Sports News, and here are your daily sports teams. The Pittsburgh Steelers were able to pick up a close win against the Atlanta Falcons this past Sunday by a score of 19-16, improving to a 5-7 record on the season. Although the chances of a playoff run are slim, the hope is not completely lost for a Steelers postseason appearance just yet. The Steelers will take on the Baltimore Ravens, who might be without their star quarterback, Lamar Jackson, this Sunday at 1 p.m. On the other side of the state, the Philadelphia Eagles have advanced to the first ever 11-1 record after defeating the Tennessee Titans in a dominant 35-10 fashion. The Eagles will play the New York Giants on Sunday at 1 p.m. Staying with football, the IUP men's football team unfortunately lost this past Saturday in the Super Region 1 Championship to Shepherd University. The score being 48-13. This means the Crimson Hawks season is now at its end with a 10-2 record. On Saturday, the United States was eliminated from the 2022 World Cup, but the Soccer Classic continues on as the round of 16 is coming to a close just earlier today. Morocco was able to defeat Spain in a penalty shootout, which will send them to the quarterfinals to face Portugal. The country is making sports headlines after deciding not to start star player Cristiano Ronaldo due to his reaction of the lack of playing time. That's all for sports news this semester. Back to you guys.
Our question of the week, are you planning to travel for winter break? If so, where? Comment your answer on our Instagram at IUP_news.
Your future beckons, calling from a place where there's plenty of room to grow, where possibilities are abundant, where you'll be challenged every day to uncover the best version of you, where you can blossom. The place, IUP. Here, like the clusters of oaks in our renowned oak grove, we're united in helping you reach new heights. Ready to heed the call? Get in the grove at IUP.
The IUP December commencement ceremony is just about here. Students who are set to graduate at this time will be making a big step into the workforce or further in their education. It will take place on Saturday, December 10th. The graduate ceremony begins in the morning while undergraduates will be recognized at 1 p.m.
Scott Kemmerer and Robert Reams are IUP alumni and local music educators. They have formed a percussion duo that will perform a variety of pieces on percussion instruments. After 8 p.m., you can find them this Monday at the Goral Recital Hall.
Throughout the times that we've reported here, I think we can all agree that this, just reporting in general and having this opportunity to come here to IUP and be a part of this news team is something that few of us will be able to experience again, especially people in this class. And so with that, I'm very honored to be working with you guys, and I thank you very much for your help and everything.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, this wasn't the first thing that I came to IUP for. Like, I originally started my pre-law track to go to law school eventually, and now here I am doing the news, and I plan on continuing that after I graduate this semester.
Yeah,
and like I said earlier in the show, the experience this past year here on IUP News has been awesome. It's been very rewarding, and I can't wait to see what the future has.
Awesome.
That'll do it for IUP News this semester. We'll be back in January with more stories. I'm Frey Heidi.
And I'm Stoker Wyzorek. On behalf of the IUP News team, we want to thank you for choosing us as your local news source.
And don't forget to follow our Instagram page at IUP_news. With that being said, I'm James Geddes. Please take care and good night.